Hey there, guys. How's everyone doing this fine night? And yeah, I forgot to add Christmas music to the background. I forgot to check on that and see about that before getting started on this. But anyways, greetings, creatures of humans alike. I am MagiQDog, and tonight we are doing a creature of the week. However, we ain't doing just no ordinary creature of the week. For you see, we will be doing a special Christmas creature of the week, where we're gonna be having a death match between two of of Christmas's most iconic legendary figures. One is the goatman-looking demon that punishes children with his birch rod. The other one is a troll-like giantress who will take children and devour them if they are naughty. And the ones that we will be talking about tonight will be this. Scribble. My trunk for some reason. Ah, there we go. The ones that we will be talking about will be Krampus versus Gryla. And I am... Whoa! My headset. And I am super excited for this one, because we are going to be having a great story time with this, along with this death match. We're going to be learning about all of the facts about these two creatures real quick. We're going to be learning about their appearance, their roles, their powers and weaknesses, their fighting styles, and we're even going to add a brand new thing, which are companions that will be helping them fight in this battle. And then we're going to have a lovely Christmas time story to go with it, as we see how theoretical battle between Krampus and Gryla will go. So, let me go ahead and grab all my information real quick, and we'll get started on this amazing story. /death battle. Alright. So. Oh, right, I had all this load up, so I'm gonna kind of restart everything. Whoops, forgot about that. Anyways. Well, greetings, creatures and humans alike. I am MagiQDog, aka Q, and I am here to wish y'all a very Merry Christmas. And what better way to share in the holiday spirits than by talking about the actual holiday spirits? For this Creature of the Week Christmas special, we'll be talking and discussing about a possible death battle between these... Yeah, I'm not gonna go through this whole tidbit and stuff. I am gonna get to at least right here. Let's see, the actual Christmas demon that uses chains and lashes to torture children before taking them away. The Krampus of Central European myths. Next is a female troll and witch who use her spells and size to capture and devour naughty children. The Gryla of Icelandic folklores. Just like the Halloween special we covered before, we'll be covering their lores. All of that. I already said that and stuff. Man, I really should have read all this before just babbling on. Anyways, you know what? Let's check out these creature stats and see how they would compete in this Christmas special death battle. Okay, we are now getting actually into it. Anyways, before we get into the neat and gritty, we first need to know about these two Christmas themes by examining their myths and lore. First, we'll learn about is the Krampus. The Krampus is a demonic figure that first appeared in Germany, deriving from the Old High German word Kraft, that means cramp or claw. This demon described as a horned half-goat and half-man, or basically a demonic goat man, if we're going to say that is covered in black fur, has a long goat tail, and a long tongue. He is always equipped with choking bells, noisy chains, a large sack or basket, and birch twigs or birch rods that is bundled together. Now, next one up is the Gryla. Gryla, who is known as a Christmas witch of the Yule or the Yule Lady, goes as this. In the Icelandic stories, she is told as a monstrous troll or ogre-like giantress, with her size varying in each story. She is told to be very ugly, with crooked nails, eyes on the back of her head, a long crooked nose, and so on. She wears old attire Icelandic clothing and often carries a large bag to carry many children. She is told to have a more monstrous appearance though, like in the Sean Artisan account of her having 300 heads with six eyes each, having gold horns, or another set of eyes on the back of her neck, 15 tails with bags that are used to capture a bunch of children, and horse hooves. Whatever her appearance though, her terror is pretty much all the same. Now, their rose, which goes as this. Krampus is considered the dark equivalent to Saint Nicholas, aka Santa. In the legends told around Germany, Austria, and other countries around the Alpine mountain ranges, while Santa will go around and deliver presents to good boys and girls, Krampus will break into people's homes and go after the naughty children. He will punish these naughty children by beating them with his birch rods, scaring them with his chains and belts, and leaving burning coals. In some occasions, if the children are really naughty, he will just straight up abduct the children by putting them into a sack and taking them to his lair, which in some stories might be down in hell, where he will just kill and devour the kids. What's really interesting is that Krampus was once considered a partner to Santa, as he would travel with Santa and go for the bad kids, while Santa rewarded the good ones. But nowadays, it seems that Krampus acts alone, making him not just a demonic figure, but a central part of Christmas events and traditions of Central Europe throughout the generations. Now, Gryla, on the other hand, she having her roots as far back as Norse mythology, Gryla is a giantess that lives in her cave up in the mountains in Iceland. She lives with her troll husband, Leppaloi, and her pet, the Yule Cat, who is just as terrifying as a Yule lady. During the Christmas seasons, she will venture out and go around villages and towns to search and abduct naughty children. Once she collects as many bad children as she could, she would take them to her lair and cook them into her awful stew, and one that she and her husband will eat while the cat will go out and hunt kids himself. She is feared as a Christmas boogeyman that even adults would take seriously, making her as horrifying as she is ancient. Let's see. Now, I'm going to keep this up here. Now, despite them being in different areas and even being separate by overseas, both Krampus and Gryla seem to have shared the same roles as a form of disciplinary beings. They are used by parents to make their children behave and be good children, especially around November to December, when winters back there in the past meant life and death. Both Krampus and Gryla are forces that target only naughty children that don't listen to their parents, and both of these creatures use similar methods of targeting, kidnapping, and even devouring these naughty children. However, this is where their similarities end, as they do have different methods to strike fear in their children. While Krampus will kidnap and devour kids time to time, that isn't mainly the case. Most of the times, he'll just beat the shit out of the kids using his instruments of torture or just strike fear into them. Gryla, on the other hand, goes straight for the kill. She will collect as many as she can and brings them home to put into her pot to cook them up into a brew for her and her family. And that's pretty much it. So basically, Krampus and Gryla are considered the Christmas boogeymans of their myths and strike fear into children with their similar yet different methods. Power. Gryla and Krampus seem to have different array of their own powers and abilities that they use to find, torture, and devour bad children. They also seem to have some similar abilities with one another, which I'll go on ahead and say their abilities as such. First off, is the fact that they have the ability of detecting bad children. This can be whether or not they're able to sniff out the badness in the children, or maybe even having it seen into their minds. Whatever the case, they are able to detect these bad children. Another similar abilities that they have is that both of them are really good tormentors. While Krampus will go for more physical torment, Gryla will actually go for more of the mental torment. As after all, kidnapping children and then taking them to her lair is pretty darn scary and tormenting in of itself, before she just straight up brutally kills them. Another similar power is their immortality. It seems that both Krampus and Gryla seems to have some type of immortality or a very, very long lifespan to keep them alive throughout the generations. Next up is their supernatural physical powers. Both of these creatures are considered to be very powerful physical beings, with having a supernatural strength, speed, agility, and endurance, and all that. Krampus seems to take it more into a higher level, though, as he's said to have invulnerability. But don't count Gryla out yet, because Gryla seems to have a pretty strong hide. After all, being a giant or a troll one or another can make it to have you have nearly indestructible skin too. Another ability they both share is fear inducement. After all, the mere sight of these two can scare all of the children and even adults into paralyzing fear. Now, here we're gonna go into the nitty gritty of each one's having their own separate powers and abilities. First up, we're gonna talk about Krampus, and that's gonna be his teleportation / hell dragging powers. It seems that Krampus, whether or not he had this ability all along, or if he developed it later on throughout the myths and generations. But it seems that Krampus is able to teleport to any of the bad children. He's able to pretty much appear out of thin air, pretty much signaling his presence by shaking his chains and his spells and all that. So it seems that he's able to teleport to pretty much anywhere that he needs to be. Another ability he has is that he seems that he's able to drag children down the hill. So whether or not it be children or even someone like Gryla, it seems that he is capable of dragging anyone down to hell itself. And that is a terrifying power in of itself. Next up, and while this isn't really considered a power that people would use, I can easily say that the birch rods and the chains can not only be used as a tormenting weapons, but can also be used as weapons as well. This could give Krampus pretty much the ability to wield unusual weaponry, which I say one good smack from the birch rods and the chains would really cause Gryla to have some kind of headache. Next up, and this one is pretty much going to be a quote on air kind of ability or demonic powers. It isn't really stated in traditional myths that Krampus has demonic abilities, like shape-shifting, thermal manipulation, possession, or even, let's see, trying to think of another demonic power. We're going to say hellfire. We're going to say that. However, this Krampus is always depicted as a demon and stuff, and since he is associated with hell, I would not be surprised if Krampus actually do have demonic powers, but he just doesn't use them. After all, what's the point in using demonic powers on Christmas whenever all you're dealing with is naughty children? Alright, next up is Gryla. Gryla is known for her shape-shifting powers. She is able to change her size at will. After all, each story of her seems to have her in different sizes. And she's even known to have different forms as well. As such, she is a master shapeshifter who uses her shape-shifting powers whenever she needs to. Next up is winter empowerment. It seems that this power is depicted whenever she is said to be strongest during certain times of the month, which will pretty much be from the first few weeks of December. As such, she seems to have some kind of power that pretty much grants her greater strength and abilities during wintertime. And finally is this. She is not known in the stories to have spellcasting abilities, but she is described as a Christmas witch. And trolls are known to have magical spellcasting powers time to time. As such, I can see Gryla maybe throughout the generations learning some spells here and there and is able to cast them pretty good. So with that, we're pretty much done with the powers, and now we are going to weaknesses. Now, this is going to be rather interesting discussions about the weaknesses. After all, both Krampus and Gryla are known to be immortal beings who cannot be killed by human means. However, both of these beings do seem to carry some plausible weaknesses that each one could use against one another. Well, that they might use against one another. Let's just say that. Now, with Krampus, he is known as an invulnerable demonic being, but one of his weaknesses is his binding by the rules of Christmas. Despite being a strong demon, he cannot harm any good children, and he cannot go against Saint Nicolas or the Christmas customs. This is due to the chains that he is bound by Christmas. Another is the offerings of apples and oranges. Apparently, he likes these as a snack and can be calmed if offered. This could be the same for black licorice, although sometimes the smell can deter him. Which I forgot to write that down. Son of a biscuit eater. But anyways, and although this is not told as a regular weakness for him, with him being a demon and all, I would assume that Christian symbols and holy objects and even divinity will harm this demon as well. Now, Gryla, on the other hand, seems to have her own issues with weaknesses. First off, she only appears during the night and is never known to venture out in the sunlight. This could be due to the fact that she is often known as a troll, and trolls are known to turn into stone in sunlight. So Gryla not venturing into daylight could be due to that. Another weakness is the fact that she's only at her peak during the time right up to Christmas. Any other time throughout the year, she stays in her cave because she is very weakened. And although this weakness won't really help out in this fight, to be honest with you. Now, this doesn't get bring up since Gryla is used to target naughty children, but with Gryla being an evil troll, she too could be affected by divinity and holy objects, just like any other evil creature would. And I think that's pretty much the same with trolls as well. I can't remember for sure. Go check out my troll creature of the week that's on my playlist on my YouTube page. Fighting styles. Now, this is where we really gotta brainstorm here. Because while Krampus and Gryla are terrifying creatures within the Christmas lore of their countries, both these creatures are known as combative types. These two beings played a role of more of a Christmas boogeyman type, using their powers and terrifying nature to target human children to either punish or devour. As such, these beings have little to no mission of them. Well, shit. Take two. Beep. As such, these beings have little to no mission of being fighting machines. However, based on what we know about these creatures' legends, powers, and even a little bit about their personalities and stuff, and their myths, of course, we can come up with how they would fight each other in their own fighting styles. With Krampus, he may go in for attacks against naughty children, but I need you to remember, folks, he's still a demon, and as such, he will use tactics employed to startle children first. This is why he will rattle his chains or shake his spell to give a sign that he's coming to start scaring children. I would believe that he would do the same in fighting against enemies too. While he would attack viciously with his powers, he would also use his powers to trick and wear down his opponents. I could see him using his teleportation to step across a battlefield and confuse his enemies while delivering devastating blows. Also, since Krampus is known for using his birch rods and chains, he could use them as weapons as well. Basically put, he fights like a trickster and uses powers to confuse his enemies while delivering strong attacks, making him quite a tricky fighter to deal with. Now, while Krampus might be jumping around and give you a headache with his planning, Gryla may just be the opposite. With her stories always going with her just going to the villages and towns and snatching up children left and right, or how aggressive she's always talked about in myths, I say Gryla is more of a heavy brawler type. She'll mainly rely on her large size and shape-shifting powers for upfront and brutal assaults on her enemies. Basically, she's like a barbarian in D&D, but she'll use her raw powers than anything else. Of course, though, with her also being known as a Christmas Witch, I think she can also use some spells as well. But mainly, she's a close-range combative. Now, this is a new category that'll be used in both Krampus and Gryla, and also this is going to be in the story as well, as they won't be acting alone. Both Krampus and Gryla myths have them known for having other beings with them to help target naughty children. And I say these companions will also aid in a death battle as well. With Krampus, there are many stories where most of the time he acts alone. However, you also get stories where he's got companions that aid in his torturing or even one heck of a partner during Christmas time. And we'll start off with the big man himself of Christmas, Saint Nicolas. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would Santa even help out Krampus? But you need to remember that way back ago, Krampus and Santa were once partners that worked side by side. Santa will reward the good children while Krampus will punish the naughty ones, with times of them even hitting the same neighborhoods or even houses. As such, I would say if Krampus needs to call upon Santa, Santa might come to help out, or at least keep Krampus from getting out of hand. Other companions can be the Perchten. These are demonic spirits told that live out in the forests of Austria. They appear similar to Krampus, but with exceptions like more horns and appearing more wildly. Some of these spirits will accompany Krampus in torturing the bad kids, Finally, the Alpine area witches, like the Hexens, could aid Krampus if need be. This is due to the fact, and I kind of missed out on explaining on this lore, so I do apologize for this in advance. It's that Krampus might have actually had some deep connections to the ancient past. After all, there were some stories that think that he might have once been a horned-natured deity of witches, or even been one of the sons of hell in Norse mythology. So due to these ancient connections, witches might still refer Krampus, giving him a greater army than one would think. Now, Gryla's team is consisting of her family. First off, you have her husband, Leppaloi, or however you spell it right there. Anyways, this is her third husband to Gryla, and seems to be loyal to her, or just scared out of his mind, really. But she won't really count on him since he's considered very lazy and doesn't leave his cave whatsoever. Next up, you have the 13 Yule Lads. These are 13 disfigured boys that are the son of Gryla. These boys were once mischievous beings, but later on in time, they became good as they would entertain children or even leave gifts for the kids. Now, these boys don't live with their mother anymore, and they don't seem fond of their mother either. But I'll say they'll help her just cause she is still their mother. Now, her greatest companion, and the one that'll mainly lead the fight, is actually her pet, the Yule Cat. He is a gigantic, monstrous cat that is just as terrifying and powerful as Gryla herself. He will also help Gryla as he's active in hunting down children, and unlike Gryla, he'll go after any kids regardless of whether they are good or bad. But he'll only go after kids that didn't get any new clothing. So basically, he's a giant grumpy cat from hell. So Gryla isn't lacking on her end, even if she's gonna mainly rely on her cat. Now, the conclusion. So let me bring this up. There we go. Now, we have just run through all the info we needed for both Krampus and Gryla, and we learned about their roles, powers, weaknesses, fighting styles, and even who will fight alongside them. Now, to try to give out a balanced fight, the two of them are going to fight in a wilderness area away from houses. They're also going to be able to call upon whoever they need to and display their powers at full force. They may even use some abilities that I mentioned before that they don't really consider having. So, who do you think is going to win this fight? Will Gryla crush Krampus beneath her feet? Or will Krampus drag her down the hill? Let's find out as we also tell this fictional story of how these two legendary Christmas figures fighting it out to take on the children that they plan to steal. On the night of December 5th, the quiet town of Thurmat-Risselin. Everyone is sound asleep as parents have tucked in their kids who are dreaming of Christmas that'll be coming in the next 2 weeks. However, up on one of the roofs of the churches that stand tall among the houses, a dark figure has suddenly appeared upon the top of the roof of the church bell tower. The figure grips and holds onto the wall of the church. This figure is covered in chains, carrying a sack over his right shoulder, and gives a wicked smile with sharp teeth. He is Krampus, and he is here tonight to start his hunt for the naughty boys and girls. He raised up his head, which caused the chains and bells to shake, and he sniffs the air in a deep inhale. Through his mind, he is able to detect and receive all the bad children in this town, as he can also see their actions throughout the past year, including a boy who bullied a girl out of school, a girl who threw a massive temper tantrum out in the store, and even one that was yelling at her parents and breaking stuff. Krampus opens his eyes and stated in a delightful yet menacing tone while he looks out to the town. Ah, how wonderful. It seems that Sir Met has had his own share of naughty children this year. There's even one who is truly wicked to the core. Seems this year is going to be quite busy, and I'll have a good meal or two as well. He laughs out into the night, silencing even the dogs who do not dare to bark back. But just as Krampus was ready to leap down into the town and prepare for his night of punishment, he stopped himself. He stayed in an alert as if something is forcing him. Wait, something's not quite right this year. He raised up his head yet again, It takes in an even deeper inhale. He focuses his demonic powers, which seem to start coming off of him like smoke. In his mind, he detects a powerful presence of another being coming into his territory. He sees a large figure stomping through the mountain terrain of the Alps, up near Bavaria, heading toward a small town on the outskirts of the mountain. The figures appear in silhouette as a giantess stomping through as she roars out in a monstrous growl. Krampus opens his eyes and turns toward the Alpine mountain. He growls in disbelief and in anger as he stated while his eyes burn like charcoal. Who dares to invade into my territory and dares to go after my children? After my Cory? He took a stomp which shook the fairy church and caused his bells to chime despite not being the right time. He didn't state it out. I'll see to it that whoever is coming after my children will meet their demise. He suddenly disappears, leaving behind the church with a burn mark where his foot should be, heading out to face whoever is marching through his land and going after his own prey. Over at a valley near the town Kurf, the giantess Gryla is marching towards the town with an insatiable hunger that foretold on her face as drool drips from her faint lips. She then stops as she looks to see lights in the distance from Croft. She smiles and stated in a low, grumbling yet wish-like tone. Finally, a town in this strange mountain region. She sniffed the air as she also stated with amusement. And it seems there are some naughty children in that town as well. I'll make a fine, delicate stew out of them. She takes a large step as she starts her march again, heading towards the town full of unexpected people and children. However, she sees something coming which makes her stop in her tracks. She sniffs the air as she spoke. This evil. I know it. Over at a nearby tree, Krampus appears out of thin air and lands on the fairy top. He looks to see Gryla, who just sits his presence and looks to the tree. Krampus irritatedly growls out to her. Grr, Gryla. Gryla smirks as she greets Krampus while stepping towards him in a know-it-all attitude. Oh, if it isn't Krampus. It's been a while since I last saw you. Krampus, however, isn't in no mood as he questions her. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in Iceland terrorizing your own livestock? Gryla smiles, wavers slightly, but she chuckles as she told Krampus, in a playful while hiding her poisonous tongue. Come now, don't be like that. But Krampus gives a silent glare at her. Gryla instantly drops the axe and spat out her reasons. Fine. I'm here to fetch some naughty children. The human children of Iceland have been too good this year. Not even my cat was able to fetch enough kids. So I decided to come to Switzerland and fetch some ingredients. Krampus smiles upon hearing her reasoning. He stands up upon the tree and stated to her, I see. So you came here to steal what's mine then? He then snarls at her while giving a demonic smile as he told her, well, I won't let that happen. Gryla, seeing this, stares at him for just a second before she started laughing. She eventually stops and she leans her face close to him as she mockingly and hatefully told before asking him, you think you and that little body of yours will be able to stop me? Don't be so delusional. I am Gryla the Christmas Witch. How, pray tell, do you plan to stop me, little demon? Krampus smiles as he reaches into his sack and pulls out his bundle of birch rods. He wields it in his right hand and takes a stance, readying himself for battle as he told the giantess, simple, by beating the hell out of you. The two stare at each other for a good moment as Gryla comprehends what Krampus told her. Her hands form into a tight shaking fist, and she shows her fangs in frustration. She raises up, brought forth her fist up high, and throws it towards her Krampus as she yells out in rage. Beating the hell out of me? Who do you think you are? She throws a punch at Krampus as she obliterated the top of the tree, but all she punched was a tree and the air around it. She ponders about what happens when Krampus appeared in front of her, and pretty much him being upside down. He yells back as he swings back his birch rod. I am Krampus, the roof Claus! He swings his birch rod and smacks it across Gryla's face with great strength that pushes her back. Gryla regains her footing though, looks back to Krampus, and she growls as she swings forth her other arm. But Krampus teleports away. Gryla looks around, trying to anticipate where Krampus will appear. But as she was looking around, Krampus appeared from behind and smacked her on her back. Gryla gasps out from the strike, but she swings her arm around to strike him. But Krampus teleports in and out all around her, avoiding her attacks as she starts to strike all around. Krampus appears in and out as he tries to get in another hit, which he does smack her 2 to 3 more times around her. But as Krampus teleports to her right side, Gryla quickly swings her arm, forcing Krampus to teleport again. Krampus tries again at her left leg, but Gryla kicks toward him, forcing him to teleport away again. Krampus, while moving about, realizes as he stayed in his mind while noticing Gryla's smile. This B-word. I can't say it. But anyways, this B-word. She's predicting my moves. Gryla just swings around her arm at Krampus at fast speed, which forces Krampus to use his chain. Oh! Hey, Knight. How you doing this fine night? Sorry, we're gonna pause the story for a bit as I greet Knight. Oh. He might have left. Sorry about that, Knight. If you do show up again, I'll try to notice you. But anyways, continuing on with the story. Let's see, where was I? Let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of go back to this. Gryla then swings around her arm at Krampus at fast speed, which forces Krampus to use his chains and block the attack. But the force was too great, and it sent him flying through 2 trees and crashed down onto the snowy ground. As the snow falls, he raises back up from the snow and rubs his head. He looks to see Gryla charging at him. She reaches down to grab him, but Krampus teleports away and lands up on a tree. Gryla looks around and smirks at him. Krampus takes out? Oh, Krampus reaches out as he grabs hold of parts of his chains and extends one end out to use as a weapon as the chains lay down upon the snow. Gryla smirks as she walks towards him, but also begins to shrink down in size till she's about 1/4 of her original size, but still standing taller than Krampus. Both Krampus and Gryla then charges at each other and attacks as Gryla punches and Krampus blocks with the chains. The two engage in close combat as Gryla throws punches while Krampus uses his chains and birch rods. The two are evenly matched before they both struck one another with their attacks. Krampus skidded back and growls in annoyance. He swings his chain and sends it at Gryla, but Gryla lets it wrap around her arm, and then she pulls back, which pulls Krampus toward her. She goes in to punch him with her other arm, but Krampus regains his balance and uses the force to kick at her fist, which sends a shockwave. From the sky, their battle erupts as trees starts to topple over before they made it back out to the clearing of the valley. The two continues their close combat until Gryla leaps up to stomp on Krampus as she refers back to her giant size. Krampus teleports away to the Gryla crashes down onto the snow. She looks to see she didn't crush Krampus. Krampus appears in front of her again, panting from the close combat. Gryla smiles as she relaxes a bit and told Krampus with an arrogant tone. What's wrong, Krampus? Not used to fighting someone bigger than you? She charges at him yet again, but Krampus smirks as he takes the chains and wraps it around the front leg. Well, one of the legs, which caught Gryla off guard. He then rushes at tremendous speed forward and pulls on the chain. This was... Hang on. Okay. I'm ready now. Anyways, this forces Gryla to trip and fall over as she topples onto the snowy ground. She tries to race up, but Krampus leaps onto her back and delivers a powerful smack on the back of her head. This causes her eyes to ride out for a second. Krampus then starts to wrap the chains around her neck as he told her, This is over, Christmas Witch! He then pulls on the chain, trying to strangle her with enough force of about 20 strong men. But he notices that the chains aren't suffocating her. Gryla's eyes open at the back of her neck as she yells out at Krampus, "You can't kill me that easily!" She quickly races up and grabs hold of the chains that binds her neck and easily breaks it in two. She then swiftly grabs hold of the chains and swings it over her shoulder, forcing Krampus to fly up into the air before come crashing down onto the snow that exploded upon impact. He grumbles before he looks up, only to see Gryla over him. She quickly stomps down with all of her force onto him. He gasps out before being swarmed of Gryla's furious punches that she thrusts down like lightning. He punches it at Krampus in a fit of rage that... She punches it at Krampus in a fit of rage a few times before stopping as she pants. She looks to see Krampus, who is within a small crater due to Gryla's punches. Yet he's still alive as he gasps out. Gryla, annoyed, looks over to see a large boulder. She walks over to lift up the boulder with both hands and walks back over to Krampus. She lifts the boulder way up high as she tells Krampus with every attempt to crush him, "I'll bury you so you can never leave!" She goes to deliver a final crushing blow, but at the last second, Krampus teleports himself away as Gryla slams the boulder down, making a loud boom across the land. Elsewhere, deep in a dark forest, another figure is sleeping within a cavern when the echoing boom shook the cave. The figure's eyes open wide, revealing a sinister yellow eye. The figure gets up, then reaches out his large muscular hand to grab hold of a butcher's hammer on the side of the cavern wall. Back over to where Gryla attempted to crush Krampus, she pants for a second before smiling with some relief on her face and chuckles out. However, she senses the evil still around and looks over as Krampus attempts to hit her again with his birch rods. But Gryla takes her arm and blocks the swat. Krampus teleports away some distance from her as he pants while blood drips from his head. He takes his hand and feels the black-colored blood before looking at it. He tisses as he stated out loud, "Dark magic, huh? Well, she would know some spells to harm me." Gryla agitatedly looks over at Krampus, as she's too covered in bruises from taking on Krampus' attack. She sneakers a little before stating out to Krampus in annoyance. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying here. Anyways, "You sure know how to give a lady a hard time, don't you, demon? But you know that eventually I'll come out on top. And when I do, I'll chop you up into little pieces and cook you into one of my brew. I can just imagine the taste you'll bring out alongside the children I'll be taking from that town over there." She begins to laugh a hollow laugh, disguising her anger. But Krampus chuckles too, which caught her attention. She asks Krampus, "What is so funny, Krampus?" Krampus ends his laughter as he told Gryla while raising up his right hand, "I realize you're more difficult to deal with. So I think I'll call upon some help to punish you." He takes his hand and uses it to make a loud whistle across the land. At first, nothing happens as Gryla believes it to be a joke, which she smirks at. However, a low rumble starts up which catches her attention. This low rumble soon turns into a loud stampede with screaming added to it. All of a sudden, from behind Krampus, a swarm of Perchtens and witches comes running out of the forest and heads to Krampus' side. The swarm does stop as Krampus lifts up a hand. Gryla becomes agitated by the sight, which makes her make a low growling noise. Krampus then points his hand towards her Gryla and commands his army, "Punish her, my friend." The Perchtens roared out as they run towards her Gryla, and the witches start casting spells. The Perchtens leap and grab hold of Gryla's clothing as they start to rip into her, making Gryla try to swat them off like flies. The witches then cast their spells, using an array of dark magic to hit or weaken Gryla. But Gryla gets angry whenever one of the Perchtens punched her in the eye as she screams out, "Ah! My eye!" Another witch then makes a sharp icicle and flies it at Gryla, which hits her in her knee. causing her to buckle and fall onto her other knee. Gryla, enraged, roars out, "Yule Cat!" Another witch then... Wait, oops. Her screams echo across the night, and out from the wilderness, a monstrous hiss from a large feline house out. This startles a few of the Perchtens and witches, which made them stop their assault. The woods then shakes as something runs across the forest with a thunderous march. Then, from the forest, a gigantic black cat jumps out of the woods and lands down onto two of the Perchtens, crushing them in the process. The Yule Cat in full glory hisses out as it swats at some of the Perchtens, then bites onto a witch and shakes it before tossing her ragged body aside. The Perchtens on Gryla are surprised to see the Yule Cat, which allows Gryla to get up and shakes them off. Gryla becomes enraged as she told Krampus and his men, "You little demons, I'll sew you!" Her body then starts to enlarge into a bigger size, and her body starts to change as many hairs begin to grow out of her neck. Her legs change into that of a horse, and she grew 15 tails. Krampus and his demons looks up to see Gryla changing. Gryla finishing her shapeshifting, and she becomes as giant as the tallest tree around, and she grew 300 terrifying heads with goat horns on each one, along with having the hoof legs of a horse, and her tails that are covered in bags. She roars out with a thunderous voice, "I'll devour you all!" She then stomps down, causing a shockwave that knocks back many of the Perchtens. But Krampus stood his ground and smiles as he laughs out. He takes his chain and birch rods in each hand and holds them out. From his demonic energy that leaks off of them, both the chains and birch rods starts to heat up to the point of them smoking and turning red. He then shouts to his demons and witches, "Do not worry about the giantress and her cat. They will soon fall and be dragged down the hill for us to play with." The Perchtens and witches roar out as they charge to battle. Krampus runs towards Gryla, but the Perchtens are behind him. Gryla roars out as she goes to slam down her giant hand at Krampus, but he teleports and appears on her hand as he runs up her arm. He teleports and appears to one of her mini heads to smack and burn her face. The birch rod engulfs in the flames and burns one of Gryla's heads. She surprises this as Krampus told her as he prepares to swing his chain next. "You aren't the only one that's gotten stronger, Gryla!" He whips her other head, which too engulfs in flames. Gryla roars out as her hands become covered in darkness as she swings at Krampus. As Gryla attacks Krampus, he is teleporting around to avoid her attacks while attacking a few of her heads. As Krampus is attacking her heads, the Perchtens also attack her feet as she tries to trample them to death. The other Perchtens and witches are attacking the Yule Cat as it tears some of them apart and swats them back like mice it's playing with. One of the Perchtens leaps onto its back and bites it, causing the Yule Cat to roar out and jump around to get it off. While the Yule Cat is pretty much flying around like a bull at a rodeo, Gryla swings to hit Krampus, which forces him to block it with a chain. But the darkness seeps through and hits Krampus, knocking him down and slamming him into a tree. Gryla then took this chance and killed off many of the Perchtens that was attacking her. Krampus gets up and pants before looking to Gryla, who just finished stomping the last Perchten. She too looks over at Krampus where their eyes meet. The two beings roared out as Krampus leaps up at Gryla, and Gryla charges at Krampus. Krampus' chains wrap around his birch rod as he swings it with both arms, and Gryla whirls back her right fist as it suddenly grows and enlarges in size. The two clash together and cause a massive shockwave of dark magic and demonic energy. This causes a few of the close-by Perchtens and witches to take cover, and the witch actually got blasted away. The two were evenly matched into their clash, causing both of them to be pushed back. Gryla falls backwards onto her back, while Krampus fell and topples over in the snow. The two entities lay there for a second before they both got up at the same time. Krampus grabbed hold of his birch rod and placed his chains back on his shoulder, while Gryla herself turned off a piece of her attire that was hanging down, while she shrunk in size and many of her heads disappeared. The two look at each other to see how much fighting spirit they got. This makes both of them smile. But before either one of them could speak, a loud, monstrous roar appears from the forest, breaking through the silence between them. This roar even stopped the Perchtens and witches from attacking the Yule Cat, and the Yule Cat stops to look and listen. From the forest, something large is running and stomping toward them. The figure is seen carrying a butcher's hammer onto his shoulder as he aggressively ran through the woods. From the wood's edge, one of the trees got broken in half as a large humanoid figure crashes through it in a big tackle. The figure appears hunched over before standing up to reveal himself in full glory. He is a bluish ogre-like being standing around 12 feet tall, and he's wearing worn, torn Baltovian clothing. His hands and feet are covered in dry blood that has been stained for decades. He wields his giant butcher hammer over his right shoulder. He breathes in and out like a wild animal ready to fight for his territory. Both Krampus and Gryla see him, and they both ask around the same time, "Is that Bloody Thomas?" Bloody Thomas then lifts his butcher hammer to his right side, takes one big step, and roars out with all of his might toward the intruders of his land, facing down and preparing to fight both Krampus and Gryla. And that, my friend, is the end of part 1 of this Christmas story. So, what do you guys think of the story? Do you think that Krampus could have had an edge in the battle with him teleporting around? Do you think that Gryla probably could have crushed him with her oversized size and her shape-shifting powers? Or do you think this third combative, which is Bloody Thomas, will make the fight way more interesting? Let me know in the comment section whenever I upload this on YouTube. And if you guys want to, next year, we'll do a part 2 as we continue this story. Or if you guys really want me to, maybe around like the next 2 weeks or so, I'll finish up the story. Who knows? Just gotta see a lot of views on this. I'll tell you what. If we get let's see. If we get at least 50 views on YouTube for this within a week from now, then I'll continue and do part 2 of the story. How about that? I think that'll be good. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this very special Creature of the Week as we done our Christmas special as we figure out the battle between Krampus and Gryla. And who knows, whenever we do part 2 of the story, we're going to add in some information as Bloody Thomas will appear. But don't think that'll be the only one showing up. After all, we also had some companions that didn't even show up in this battle yet. So I hope you guys are excited for that. But for now, I think I'm going to go on ahead and close this out. Now I will admit, I was kind of hoping to do like the Pokemon Nuzlocke as well. But alas, work kind of had to call me in, so I wasn't able to do it today. But I will try to do it tomorrow if I can. May try to start it at around, let's see, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time or so. Yeah, I think that'll be the time I'll start it. But for now, I'm going to go on ahead and go to sleep. So with all that out of the way, thank you guys for coming on this fantastic Christmas special. I hope y'all had as much fun as I did, as we got to learn about the stats of Krampus and Gryla. Got to listen to a fantastic story, and got left with a major cliffhanger as Bloody Thomas, another famous Christmas creature, has appeared into the battle. And if you wish to see more of these, check me out on my Twitch page, check me out on Twitter, check me out on my main YouTube channel, and check me out on my Gaming React channel. And leave a like and subscribe for that as well. And with that, I bid this show adieu. So see you guys. So long. Bye bye. Okay, bye. And have a merry... Wait, Christmas is already over with. So I hope y'all had a very Merry Christmas. And have a Happy New Year's too. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Anyway, see you guys.